Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Lauren Khalil. This episode is brought to you by Butcher Box. On today's episode, I have our senior editor at Morning Chalk Up, Joe Genitin Palawa, and John Woolley from Make WODs Great Again, here to discuss how Gary Gaines is no longer with CrossFit HQ. Just before Christmas on December 23rd, an email was sent to affiliate owners from CrossFit CEO Don Faul stating that Gary Gaines is no longer with CrossFit. Gaines will be the sixth director level executive to leave HQ in the last year. John, as somebody who works in the corporate space, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, the first thing I want to say is how impressed I am with you pronouncing Joe's last name. I mean, boom. Like, I have him in my phone.
Nailed it.
We've been friends a
I
long
have
time
him in my
now.
phone as Joe Morning Chalk Up because I don't even try it. I think
Well, as long as we're gonna start with comments like that, I do have to say that the last two times I've been on the bottom line, it's been with Justin Kotler and now John Woolley. And so, Lauren, I feel like there's a little bias in who you're pairing me up with and
Look.
what sort of surface level visual similarities we may have.
Justin is basically my twin. I love that dude. But to answer your question, I don't think losing six people in a calendar year is highly unusual. I mean, like that, the average American changes jobs 12 times. And I think I read that the average tenure for people is like 4.5 years or something in a job. So I don't think it's crazy unusual, but particularly at this executive level, when you have someone come in like Eric and he brings in this team, and now you have someone new like Don, and the old team came in because of Eric, and now they got a new guy they're unsure of. I'm not sure it's crazy unusual. My concern though is, the thing that all these people have in common is they don't have deep institutional background knowledge of CrossFit and the culture that comes with it. And, it's the culture that's so important here at CrossFit and so different than every other corporation on the planet. This is a company that is really run by the people for the people, for lack of a better term. And I don't know, I'd love to see these spots start to get filled with people that have been here for a decade and kind of understand the ins and the outs, and they've been to 5 a.m. class for years, and they've been at that late class, and they've had to scrub the floors, and they deal with, the broken equipment and everything that we do day in and day out.
Are you speaking specifically to affiliate owners? Because I don't really know where else you would get people who have those deep CrossFit
Well, yeah, I
roots.
think there absolutely are affiliate owners that could fill that spot. Dale at PSKC CrossFit, you guys have had him on before. He's deeply ingrained in the community. He was an affiliate rep. Like there, have to be dozens of people like him, for instance, that could fill it. But I look at CrossFit, and you think of let's just stick with the continental U.S. for easy math here. 7,000 to 9,000 affiliates. At a moderately, is not inexpensive to do it. So you're filled with people that are in business. They have real jobs. There have to be
Sure.
people that have been doing this for, like, I've been doing this for 11 years, and I run a business that maintains over $1 billion under assets. Like, I'm not unique. If I can do that, anyone can do that. So I guess my point is that there have to be hundreds of people within our ecosphere that could fill into these roles if we were properly advertising for them and seeking them out.
Joe, you've written most, if not all, of the stories when we've been talking about leadership changes with HQ. From like your insight and knowledge to the individuals that have kind of transitioned in and out, is this a trend that we're seeing? Can you kind of give us the timeline and your insight, just where this specific situation falls in all of it?
Yeah. Thank you. First, to answer one of John's points, there is at least one person in the C-suite that Rosa hired who does fit that profile that he's talking about, and that's Allison Andriozzi. She's a 10-year CrossFitter, a 10-year affiliate member, and so actually comes in with at least a pretty deep understanding as an athlete and a community member. Otherwise, I would say John's completely right about the folks that were brought in. Gary Gaines was brought in from SoulCycle. Many of the other C-suite level folks that were brought in came in from other tech companies and things like that, and certainly have executive level chops, but not in CrossFit, and they don't have those sort of bona fides. In terms of the timeline, one thing that I would say, and a point that John brought up, was that when a new CEO comes in, it does make sense to see a lot of turnover. They want to bring in their own leadership teams and things like that, or leadership team. Faul was hired in August, just before the CrossFit Games. A lot of the changes that we saw, a lot of the sort of tumultuousness of the executive level actually happened before that. And if we just run through it super quick, I mean, Castro was fired in January of 2022. Rosa stepped into the board role out of the CEO role in February.
Mm-hmm.
In May, the CTO resigned. In May, also, Allison Andriozzi, who I mentioned, was named the interim head of CrossFit. In June, she rehired Castro in a different position. And then in August, and I'm not sure the exact timing between when Faul was being hired and when Jason Dunlop, the president, resigned, but those things were happening roughly at the same time in the month of August. So all of those things were happening. The two big changes that have happened since the new CEO Don Faul was hired, in September, Aaron Clift, the chief marketing officer, resigned. And then 2 days before Christmas, Gary Gaines was announced to be leaving the company. So those are the two things that have happened since Faul has been hired. I see this most recent move with Gary Gaines, the general manager of affiliates, as being somewhat separate from the rest of the trend. It seems to me that this is, I don't want to say like a one-off, but it has a different feel to it. And the announcement that we received from CrossFit did seem a bit different from the announcements that we received from Jeremy Landis and Jason Dunlop and Aaron Clift and the other C-suite folks who were moving off into other roles with other companies. So it did seem a little bit different in that sense.
Do you think that there's any noteworthy point to the timing of it all? And this question is kind of for either of you, but it being so close to Christmas, it seems a little abrupt. That could be just looking into it, but I'm curious if you guys think of anything based on the date that he left CrossFit. Meal prepping is a huge part of my routine and lifestyle, but one of the biggest headaches for me is going to the grocery store and trying to find high quality meat that I can trust. That's why I recently turned to Butcher Box. There's a ton of different options when it comes to deciding what's in the box. From 100% grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken, pork-raised crate-free, and even wild-caught seafood, they make it convenient to get all that protein in without the headache of the supermarket. For me, I went with the customized box so I could pick exactly what I like to eat, or more in my case, what I know how to cook. But if you're feeling like getting more comfortable in the kitchen, they have recipe inspos to bring your very basic cooking skills, like myself, to chef-level brilliance. Tacos are a staple for me, and Butcher Box helps keep them fresh and high quality no matter which box I choose. Use code CHALKUP to get a discount on your box so you can hurry up and get cooking. Now, back to the episode.
I didn't read anything into that. Kind of to Joe's point, I got the email, and I own an affiliate now. And so, me and my partners were talking about it very quickly. The thing that I noticed that, you often see in corporate is that there was no discussion about where he's going. So the suddenness of it, I don't think it was timed. I mean, I'm speculating. I don't like to speculate about people leaving as to why they're leaving necessarily, but it felt like it wasn't timed. Like it just kind of happened. And so it was like they're trying, to CrossFit's credit, I think for years their communication has been notoriously bad to the affiliates, and they were doing their very best to say, hey, this happened and we want to make sure as quick as possible, which I thought was really smart and prudent. But the suddenness of it tells me, just with kind of an understanding of business, they didn't see it coming or something happened, right? Probably the most I want to say on it. But big props to them for being transparent and saying, hey, this happened and we're going to move forward. And to their credit, they do have a deep bench. Austin is a great dude, like really, really great dude, and smart, and kind of fits those buckets I was talking about earlier, like deep institutional knowledge, has done a lot of things within CrossFit. I don't know if he can manage the affiliates or not. I don't know his resume that well, but I know his reputation. and his reputation is stellar, and that's important, particularly to affiliate owners.
I would agree with John on the timing and the sort of abruptness of it. That email that John's referring to that went out to affiliate owners, I'll just read you the first line, and it kind of states very clearly from Don Faul, the CEO, what John's referring to. And he said, quote, "We deeply value our affiliates' trust in CrossFit and are committed to keeping you informed about changes here at HQ. In the spirit of timely transparency, I wanted to let you know that as of this past Wednesday, that would be December 21st, Gary Gaines is no longer with CrossFit." So that was the first line of the email. And it didn't provide, I have the email, and John's read the email, obviously. It didn't provide a whole lot more detail, but just it was literally written in the spirit of timely transparency, which I think is a very good move coming from the CEO.
For sure. John, you already mentioned that Austin Malleolo, he's stepping in to serve as the interim GM of affiliates. Do either of you think this is a position that he'll stay in? Is this the right position to have him in? Kind of just initial thoughts on him being placed in that position right now.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know Austin that well. I've exchanged a few text messages with them or DMs with them, and it's usually because I've created some meme with him in it. So I know he's funny, and I know he's got a great reputation. Kind of my opinion on this. This is a role that the average everyday CrossFitter is never going to interact with, nor do they care to. Right. So you need someone that's going to be in the role for a long time. So I think if it's a role that he cares to hold for a number of years and really build out what the affiliates need and be that point person for the affiliate owners and start to give them the resources that they've all been demanding, then yeah, I think he's great for it. But you have to have that level of passion for it. And, he was a CrossFit competitor. And, I guess the only thing I would add to it is that, typically CrossFit competitors are real problem solvers. That you have to be in that role, and their work ethic is unparalleled. So if he can carry those two things over into it, he'll be brilliant at it.
Yeah, and I would tend to agree with what John's saying. Just to flesh out a little bit of Austin Malleolo's resume, he was a 9 times game athlete. He created the HAM plan with Spencer Hendel and James Hobart and transitioned that into the CrossFit affiliate programming, which now Hobart heads up at HQ. He has been a longtime seminar staff member. I believe I would assume level 4 CrossFit trainer. He was a former affiliate owner, for a long time affiliate owner, and most recently served under Gary Gaines as the North American director of gym operations. So in some ways, this is a logical step forward, a logical step up for him. And I think that he's got a lot of community support. I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to, and if the company didn't parlay this into not just interim GM of affiliates, but director or full-time GM of affiliates.
And then when we're looking at Don Faul, he hasn't been in his CEO position for very long. I think we said August is when he took on this leadership role. What are both of your thoughts on him and what we can see from CrossFit HQ? You've both had some interaction. I know, John, you've met him in person. Joe, you've had several conversations with him. What are your thoughts on kind of the future of CrossFit leadership at HQ?
Yeah.
I would defer to John here because he got a chance to do a full interview, right, on your podcast.
Yeah. I've met him a couple of times. At first, I met him at the games. Actually, I'm back all the way up when he was named CEO. I was driving to the games, and I happened to be pulled over at the time. And so I quickly pulled him up to see who he was. And then because I'm an egomaniac, I checked to see if he follows me, and he does. And
oh, amazing.
And so I'm like, well, the guy's obviously got great taste, But, I did a quick post on it. And to his credit, he immediately DM'd me and thanked me for the kind words. And, you got to keep in mind, this guy was probably getting 1,000 DMs that day. So the fact that he actually
Sure.
responded, I
Oh,
thought was
easily.
really, really kind. And then I met him at the games. He was spectating for the adaptive division, which I thought was a really classy move. It's a group that doesn't get a lot of attention, and the fact he was there shaking
Mhm.
hands and kissing babies was really cool. And then we had him on the podcast. The dude's brilliant.
Mhm.
He's super smart, very engaging, easy to talk to, charismatic. He's got a deep CrossFit base. He's got a military background. He's got a tech background, working for some of the biggest tech companies on the planet. So he's got a stellar resume. I would tell you I'm cautiously optimistic. Um, I'm also not bothered that he hasn't done kind of the full media press tour, only because and again, I say this with all due respect to Eric, because I also really like Eric as a person. Eric did
Mhm.
that. Eric was kind of constantly on the Buttery Bros and at the games and doing workouts and like very, very visible, which I also thought was very cool to show that he was an active part of the community. But you look back on it and go, well, what did it get you? It didn't get us anything. And
Mhm.
so I tend to believe that Don's taking a different approach, which is a more low key. I'm going to be in the background. If you really follow him on Instagram and see the work he's doing, he's visiting affiliates and not the big name that
Yeah, a couple
yeah,
of no, sorry, a couple of big tours like through
yeah,
Brazil and things like that.
yeah, not the
Yeah.
big name affiliates that everyone's heard of. Like he's dropping in mom and pop boxes and he's shaking hands and meeting
Mhm.
people and understanding what their needs are and starting to get that stuff implemented. So I feel really good about how he started, and I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to continue to get the company on the right track. And I will say, for the record, I felt at the games, kind of their first step toward that was really highlighting the affiliates. And I came away from the games feeling like it was all about the affiliates. And as long as he keeps that
Mhm.
focus, I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, and I mean, I would just add, I think that John sums it up perfectly. But I would just add, in the most recent sort of development here that we're talking about, I mean, it takes, I don't know, I really don't know the background of what happened with Gary Gaines and the timing of all of it. But I think that it is a show of strong leadership to make that move
Mhm.
in the timing of it and put that notice out to affiliate owners and keep them above board on as much of the information as quickly as possible. And so I think that's a good sign.
Mm. John, what's your bottom line?
Oh, why is that a hard question? It shouldn't be a hard question. I think we're on the right track. Look, these things happen. When you get the email that the
Mhm.
guy's leaving suddenly and we don't have a 2 weeks notice, you can read into that all you want. I met Gary. He was a great dude. And the time I spent with him, I was really impressed with him. But I think this company is filled with great people. And I think Don's a good judge of character. And I think he seems like a pretty brilliant dude. So I have a lot of faith that his decision in putting Austin in that role is a good decision. I think as they continue to build out his leadership team, he'll pick the right people. And, some of them won't last. Let's be honest. Like, there's still going to be some more turnover. That happens. But,
Mhm.
I think as long as we keep some steady leadership at the top and, we keep showing up and doing these stupid workouts every day, life's going to be just fine.
Joe, what's your bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're headed into a new year here. If I don't have to write another one of these stories in 2023, I will be super happy. Um, let's uh, let's let's see the ship become sort of even keel. Let's get off the roller coaster a little bit and just get the work done. Like
Mm.
John says, let's go do our stupid workouts and bring more people into the fold and let's do it. That's what I'm looking for in 2023.
Here's to another workout, guys. Joe, John, thank you guys so much for chatting with us, and we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.